Didn't know about Bolaige, the fact that he could speak three major Nigerian languages frequently. And I totally admire people who can do that. I understand the three major language fluently, but can I speak the three major language fluently? No, I can't. And so when I see people who can just go from Igbo to Yoruba, Hausa seamlessly, or any of the other amazing Nigerian languages, I just totally admire them, honestly. All right. But that's that, and just to buy me time to see if we can have our join us by telephone, saying that he can physically, but doesn't look like it. But I will have good company. So you're on YouTube and Facebook at Info FM. You see Gbenga will be sitting in the studio to keep me company. Seeing guest is in here. Yes, you are on your news, your guest. I always love it when we have guests on the round, and sometimes their schedule really be tight, and last minute travels or delayed travels or just meeting, and you don't have it but to just excuse them. I truly appreciate every single one of our guests to be here when we invite them. Sometimes short notice, sometimes ample time. They make sacrifices being here. Thank you, Saz and Mams and the amazing people who come around to our studio. Benga, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Kimberly. I mean, when it comes to Nigerian issues, sometimes we find ourselves in a rabbit hole and just can't get out of it. Most times people say, it's the same thing over and over again. It will subsidy today, stereo list tomorrow. When are we going to have some sort of succor from any angle of the country? But we are here. We are in Nigeria. And we'll continue to thrive through the strike.
I believe that, honestly. I started off with, did you know about talking about speaking fluently through your languages? That is not the roundtable we're looking at, but just a light banter. I'm curious, how many of the Nigerian languages can you fluently, aside English?
I can speak the Yoruba language fluently, but I understand Igbo, so I can speak Igbo fluently.
All right. That would do.
Yeah.
That is fair already on its own.
Yeah.
All right. Welcome to Hard Facts here on 95.1 Nigeria Info FM. Intense because we start off the show looking at more stories driving conversation, but we have a great educative, informative, and a tad entertaining time. The show also. My name is Kimberly Wachuku, call me Kim, the Oracle, the digital Oracle that is. We have the fellow Madam Speaker Ochawan, and I'll say yes to them all. Keep me company on the round table and also using some bit of his knowledge on the show is Gbenga on the show. Let's catch up with the development concerning the coup in Niger Republic. And I think this country and the development country will continue to make headlines for us and be trending topic for Nigerians. One, we share proximity with them.
Yeah.
Two, we share some cultural, religious similarity with them, the northern parts of the country. Three, we're all in the regional bloc. Four, our president is the chairman of ECOWAS.
Exactly.
So, I mean, there's so many ties that have with them that we're just invested in what is going on. And we see the stands of ECOWAS insisting that they return back to a civilian role and return back to the government that was there before they hijacked the government, the military junta, that is. We heard yesterday that the military junta, they're going to have a 3-year transition plan, which ECOWAS is vehemently opposed to. The European Union now has announced the suspension of the Niger Republic from all its activities until power is relinquished to ousted President Mohamed Bazoum was deposed in the military on the 26th of July and has remained in custody. And according to a report, he announced the suspension in a statement, reiterating calls for military junta to release Bazoum and return to the barracks. The AU called on its member state and the international community to refrain from any action that would legitimize the junta. The African Union said it strongly rejects any interference from any actor or country outside Africa, and the Economic Community of West African States had announced deployment of a standby force in a bid to restore constitutional democracy to Niger Republic. So AU is saying we're suspended from everything. You're literally at this point pariah state, cut up from the continent, which is not surprising because these are some of the immediate response to a coup that you see, either from the regional bloc or from the continental bloc, which is AU. Okay, we can allow this to happen. We already have the African Charter for Governance, Democracy and Election, and it calls for, elections in which people are involved. It calls for, to a certain extent, I go back to that charter to see if there's also clarity, defined one as to limit, because some countries, the line is not so defined.
So I think basically I understand that this is a two-edged sword. So there's a part on the Nigerians who think it is their right to demand for a better governance, be it the democratic governance or the military governance. And most people from the outside would only see military governance in Niger as a no. not too away, was it last year or so, saw what happened between Russia and its neighboring countries. And immediately we started seeing sanctions flying here and there. The sanctions even affected football, affected sports, where the country was annihilated or exiled from different sectors or in power and energy. And I think that's exactly what Nigeria at the moment. But we also need to understand, first of all, for the leader to say they have a 3-year transitional plan, it probably means they also have a 3-year sustainability plan, because you need to sustain a military coup for those 3 years. Now that you're getting banned, now like you're getting stifled off any other thing outside the country, you have enough resources within the country.
I mean, it's a brilliant point, because one, Niger Republic, an impoverished state, is the second poorest. It's one of the poorest countries in the world.
What revenue do they generate internally that would sustain them for the next 3 years?
It's a lot country. So if AU is cutting you off a lot of things, it means that ultimately all member states in the African Union are no longer your friend.
Exactly.
Say for countries that have been cut off, so like Burkina Faso and Mali, because also hijack a civilian administration, are already blacklisted, so they can be. But then it's a landlocked country. It's that for you to import, for you to commerce or any other activity, it would be wary of doing that with you. You're already poor as a country, so your resources are limited at this point in time.
I think in between the lines as well, we should also understand that no coup is on its own without foreign interference. So in a way, while question if it can be sustained for the next internally, there may be sort of support from some external foreign powers that would say, okay, regardless of how they suck you out or keep you stifled or in silos, would support you with this, with that, with that. So I just think, I don't envy the president of Nigeria as this was coming into the fore, having the country's headache in front of him, also having West African headache in front of him. So I really don't envy him.
Given the fact that he's just fresh the job and so much pressure, you have, like you pointed out, internal issues to deal with. There's a lot.
I have heard Nigerians say, "Why did you take the headache? You should stay." But statistically, I think it was Nigeria's turn to rule ECOWAS, and it just happened that Tinubu was the one. In that instance, we shouldn't continue to harp on the fact that he's there or took the job. He's already taking the job, and he won't relinquish it anytime. So we should just try and understand that he's not on his plate at the moment.
Indeed. So we'll get to see how it pans. Meanwhile, we have a lot of Nigerians who said so much. We have religious group talking, social political group talking, well-meaning Nigerians talking, saying we cannot afford to be involved with whatever fracas, whatever issue, or deploying military to Niger Republic for so many reasons. And also former Kaduna State Governor has lent voice to that also. Former Aviation Minister is always talking. Also one of the people who are saying, apply caution, do not invade Niger Republic. It is not good. Former Kaduna State Governor tweeted, war against Niger Republic is like taking arms against brother. And he's back in the news from when he tweeted Cap Fit yesterday, and given the fact that he was one of the ministers who kind of like were not confirmed, not kind of like fact, was not confirmed over security concerns that were raised against him. And he's lent his voice to it. So, RFI has choice words doing things. You know, a lot of people are not in any form of invasion against the public, but there are certain people, when they their voice to certain discourse, it becomes controversial. Like sarcastic. Arms against brothers. What do you mean? Explain. How are they our brothers and stuff like? So it's those kind of regional perspective.
But I feel the more concerning issue, away from the fact that they're neighbors or brothers or siblings, I think Nigerians, those are not even confident about security personnel.
Good that is because what he pointed out, that if Niger Republic and allies deliberately open it up for the element of ISIS, Al-Qaeda, ISWAP, etc., to move into Benin and Togo, ECOWAS weaker link, then the whole of Nigeria's western from Sokoto to Lagos will be vulnerable to terrorist attack.
It becomes porous. Exactly.
So some of the elements have penetrated into Niger State, Borgo, Shiroro, very close to Benin Republic, and some state in other parts of the country. So these are legitimate concerns.
In fact, you don't even have to be a prophet or a seer to know that a country that is still unable to resolve internal insurgency will now take up a cause that will involve more external insurgent agencies, if there is like that. Because you're not going to just deal with the Nigerian insurgents or the Niger insurgents. You'll also be dealing with, like you mentioned, Al-Qaeda, ISIS, and the rest of it. So the average Nigerian is not even confident that we have enough military personnel or power to even carry out whatever trade they're putting out there.
El-Rufai is trending on X. A lot of issues brought up, and those were arguing that El-Rufai, one of the most prominent politician. There are a lot of groups registered their displeasure that he didn't make the court as minister, and blaming the minister of the National Security Advisor as be one of the people behind it. These are allegations that are come, by the way, as to who would have raised some of the flags. But we had on the day of the screening, El-Rufai, the only person I know of whose presence generated some sort of protest. There were a lot of people who protested, a religious group, the Shiite faction, who protested on the hand of Kaduna State and Zaria. And Kaduna people also felt like, oh, you handle the crisis in the region, and it was lopsided in terms of how you manage the security of the state. So apparently these things can flags on his own, because the truth is you count for your time in office. 4 years, 8 years. These are things that people will bring up and say, all right, we don't think you might have the capacity for this. But, you know, a lot of things into play in terms of emotional intelligence and how you carry people, how you perceived, if you're a unifying factor or a divisive at the end of the day. So all of these things could have presented itself as a factor.
So I may not have the deep insight to the numbers when it comes to American politics,
you to have it.
But face value, some Americans, or most Americans, due to what I was able to for myself at the time, liked Donald Trump until the COVID issue. As a matter of fact, only reason why he lost the election was because of the decisions he made before COVID. Was already winning the hearts of most Americans. Yet, people would argue lacked emotional intelligence. People would argue he's too blunt. He comes out and tells you he wants to build a wall around the world. Later, he comes out and tells you he doesn't want it. He's very vocal. And I think that's the same El-Rufai. El-Rufai made himself in a controversial situation. But
he found himself in tons of controversy.
More often than not, he still has a certain following database that can point to things he said and carried out. Yoruba call it ale. You say something and you go ahead and you do it. And that's the category you place El-Rufai in. A lot of years ago, when a man decided to demolish a lot of parts in Abuja to create the current road network we are enjoying in Abuja at the moment, nobody would look 20 years after and say, oh, El-Rufai made the point. But today, what most people would remember is controversial talks, is this. And so I think he had the capacity or skills that have based on his political press, but people should always combine personality and qualifications. More often than not, personality is needed to get some things.
All right, then. Personality is needed to get certain things on. And that's the story. If you're just tuning in, we're talking about Niger Republic. African Union has decided to sanction the Republic, the military junta, and cut them off from activities in the continent. And asking you, is that enough to turn the hands of events in Niger Republic? Would he force the junta to bow down,
to succumb or
back
compromise?
down? And would this also encourage the regional bloc, ECOWAS, to move ahead whatever military intervention? We also brought in the governor of Kaduna State, who is saying that any form of attack will expose us, will make us even more vulnerable to more terrorist activity, because, you know, it's sort of like a subtle barricade that we have preventing more ISWAP and Al-Qaeda and the likes of them coming to the country. And he did say that Niger Republic and Northern Nigeria are one and the same. They're brothers, which you might want to agree with him, but it's a fact of what a lot of have been saying in terms of religious and cultural unity and similarities that northern parts share with this region. Let's go big break.
Clinic is the answer. At Madi Air Clinic, we treat different air issues like dandruff, breakage, slow air growth, split ends, receding airlines, barbing, and more. We also braid and fix air extensions. Majesty Air Clinic is set at Leostan Ekewe, below Federal Secretariat, immediately.
This is Nigeria Info. This is.
Hello, my name is Kimberly. I'm the host of Hard Fact. I bring you the biggest stories driving conversation every weekday here on 95 for Nigeria Info Hard Fact Show. I love to hear your opinion and conjectures, but the facts you cannot dispute. Here, Hard Facts. Join me and let's talk.
This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
This is Nigeria Info. This is Nigeria Info. This is Nigeria Info. This is Nigeria Info. This is Nigeria Info. This is Nigeria Info. This is Nigeria Info. This is Nigeria Info. This is Nigeria Info. This is Nigeria Info. This is Nigeria Info. This is Nigeria Info. This is Nigeria Info. This is Nigeria Info. This is Nigeria Info. This is Nigeria Info.
Day. And on Facebook, good afternoon, Kim. Nigerians turning into another thing, into what it was morphing into. Anthony says, good afternoon, Kim. Henry Simon Abba bringing greetings for Sido Chanyawan. Thank you very much. Charles Young, I see you on Facebook. Thank you very much. And quite a number of comment also on our page. Let's run through some of them. If Nigeria is bounded on the northwest by Syria, on the northeast by Libya, on the east by on the south by Nigeria and Benin Republic, and on the west by Burkina Faso and Mali, how is it a landlocked country? Educate us more. It's a landlocked country. Google landlocked. Understand that it does not have an ocean where it can port things on its own through port. So it needs to walk through countries. That it is a landlocked country is a country that is sandwiched between countries. And there's no own.
Exactly. I wanted to say
Nigeria.
picture island.
Exactly.
Remove the body of waters and countries.
Exactly. That's what makes it landlocked. It's not as if it's isolated on its own. Get it, Chris from Area 10. Charles Mbad says the Tinubu-led ECOWAS and the AU are also asking much by demanding the reinstatement of President Bazoum. That is not possible as the people who are presiding over have already rejected him. Perhaps the most feasible way out is to force the military to relinquish power to civilian with their anything outside that will be a deadlock. Okay. Please, me disagree with you here. Nigeria is not the first country where Nigeria is the headquarters of poverty. There's one thing being the capital of the world. Given our population, we have a lot of poor here. Now, Nigeria's population is not even one third of our population. All their people is just like throw one. That's the population, even though they are landmass. The largest on continent,
so to the best proportion that makes them
the people.
Yeah,
you understand? It means that our poor people outnumber their entire population there. It does not mean that the country is not the poorest country. The second poorest country in the world, as a matter of fact, given the fact that in terms of their GDP per capita, their resources and all of it, they are poor. Nigeria is not technically a poor country. It just has a lot of
poor people. Yeah,
there's a difference. Zaza.
I'm outside, you know Nigeria is not poor.
Yeah, we know the country is not poor. The fact that we have unequal distribution of wealth
that's the best
to deal with.
That's the best way to put
20% of your population have 80% of wealth, and 80% of the population have like percent of the wealth. Something like that. So that's why you find it's not evenly distributed. I mean, you have the richest man in the continent here, and it's very rich, but that's not like wealth.
Both man and woman.
You. Exactly. Motolani in-house guest Benga ECOWAS and the junta really to reach an agreement to put an end to this. You can hear what the junta is saying, that he and his team will power for 3 years. African leader said Oludade Abiodun from Games Village. Honestly, you ought to speak Hausa language very fluently. No excuse, because I trust that you'll be able to do more as a Kano House woman. All right. I love to have so much faith in me.
That's true. We asked you how many languages you could speak.
I already
fluently.
told them go back there. So I said at least you understand 3. Give yourself a pat on the back. Well, I totally understand the 3 languages fluently. Wow. Now the speaking part is rusty. That is where
the problem.
The problem lies. All right. So some of the comments, and since we'll be throwing up the fine to get more input from you. We have other stories to go through, but let's hear 2 callers and move on to next. Hello.
Yeah, hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you. My name is Abdul from Jabi.
Abdul.
Nigeria is not switched over, despite the fact that EU excluded them from doing anything. You get me? In Nigeria, they are nothing. They're poor people. United States of America will not go and put their bed there. That is to show me they have something on ground. Anywhere America went and put bed, there is something in that.
Put their what now?
Not an ordinary.
Military base. It could just be a strategic location for them.
Exactly. They have here in Niger. We all know. You get the point. That is the reason I'm saying this. And at the same time, the coup d'etat that takes in Niger, our own president, Tinubu, is a co-op chairman. He didn't approach the matter the way it was to be. As a giant of Nigeria, as ourselves, giant of Africa. inside problem of insecurity in Nigeria. We can face it fairly in an easiest way if we have questions and those people that they are ready to advise him before even taking any measures in Niger. To call people within the 36 states that have, where is the problem coming out? How can we be able, and able to resolve it in a capable way? This is what we are asking our leaders to be doing. Not a matter of saying that you position or bring some certain idea that cannot work. You cannot
sir.
them with a problem. They keep doing what they are doing and do very well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your input with more calls in a bit. But yesterday, social media arrived, and if you see hashtag fake news, where it was reported by some media that there's a merger of sorts going on with the opposition party. Gotten wind on how they're going to pan out at the presidential election petition, which is really going ahead of yourself, seeing that we've not had any formal judgment statement made at the likes of it. And the Labour Party has debunked the speculation of merger with the opposition political party in the fallout of the 2023 election. The spokesperson of the party Presidential Campaign Council, Yusa Tanko, he was on a program yesterday in which he further clarified it, said the Labour Party is not ruling out a working alliance with other political parties. Recall that the report had claimed that Abubakar of the PDP, Rabiu of the New Nigerian People's Party, Peter Obi of Labour Party have resumed talks on the possibility of a merger. Now, the report claimed that the trio is considering merger in the event that the presidential tribunal declares a rerun or a fresh election. But Tango said the Labour Party is speaking with other political parties like mine, adding that merger is out of the question. The way to measure it means that political parties from different parts of the country come together, submit their document to INEC, and it will be pronounced as a political party, and that isn't obtainable at the moment. The measure is out of the question technically. However, when you talk about the discussion of possibly working alliance with political party, very true, that is possible. Even though the 25th of February, these discussions were going on. So it just might be the choice of word that was used by this media organization to using a merger, because we're looking at the technicality. A merger would have gotten people like really at forming when APC was formed, it was a merger. NPP, ADC, and the like, ACN and the likes merge and became one political party. But an alliance is saying we are all distinct from our own ideological standpoint, but we're coming together to ensure what exactly. I mean, how would the alliance play out, even if, remember, do not know for sure how it's going to play out with the election petition tribunal, but if they call for it on, you start to wonder how strategic can you be alliance enough, and who would, because we saw the play even before the election when a lot of people were thinking perhaps it would have been strategic powerful if you had Peter Obi and Kwankwaso on the team. And Kwankwaso said, no, I party, and how dare you think of me coming as, the vice presidential candidate, that Peter Obi would be my vice president. So you saw a bit of that. They went their different ways, and also how Peter Obi came out of the People's Democratic Party. We saw how it weakened the PP also in terms of the vote in particularly the southern part of the country. So all of these are evident. But if they decide to have this talk, and some sort of alliance, where would they lean toward PDP, lean towards more Labour Party, towards what AMPP?
If is go by, you just mentioned one. I'll also state what happened.
NP, sorry.
I remember in 2019 where he's setting Showore and the likes of it. Was it Donald or somebody else? Mogalu.
Kingsley Mohalu,
and one other person said, okay, they will come there. Use the word merger at the time to usurp the ruling party by 2019. It wasn't months to the election when that didn't light of the day. So we've seen an active election not suffice. Now, how that suffice from a court now? I mean, like you said, jumping the gun, we are not even sure there's going to be a run in the first place. So if that is not assured, how are we getting to the point of, if that's assured, how are we now getting to the point of a supposed merger? I think all this still boils down to conspiracy theories, and we just need to stick to the reality that is facing us today.
All right, talking about reality facing us today, and this alliance of sorts. I know when we're talking, that's to put Senator on the spot, because not Pilsa, I guess, but here. And it's a good thing you were here, so we might as well get your perspective on we're talking about, as to what the merger is really. Senator Irogbu is a journalist with the Global Sentinel. And welcome to the Roundtable.
Thank you, Kim.
So, how would an alliance work with the opposition party if there's a rerun? The if emphasizing on it so that people don't run to towns, there will be a rerun. That will be emptying the Presidential Election Tribunal. Nobody knows what the call is going to be. However, given what the rumor that was making the round, which has been clarified by Tanko Unisa, one of the spokesperson of the presidential campaign of the Labour parties, there are actually talks on alliance of some sort if it comes to this, but not a merger. You wonder, how can the alliance work if we do get to that at all?
Okay. There may be possibility of alliance, though it's still in the realm of rumor, but there are some signs that some things, then they are positive, they are negative. Then in this scenario, I think there are two things. It could be alliance for next 4 years.
Okay.
Or it could be alliance.
Which would make more sense if they're already calculating towards the next one.
Yes, because you know that before APC, when APC emerged as APC, there was a failed attempt to form an alliance before. In 2011, it couldn't materialize. Then they eventually, that process started after 2011 election discussion until it yielded fruits. So something like that. So it's two ways. Ahead of 2027.
Yeah.
Or should there be, based on what people are rumor is going around, but nobody knows what the tribunal will rule. Eventually when they get to the Supreme Court, because tribunal is not the final. Yeah. So based on the outcome, maybe the opposition want to be prepared, because should it could that, they are facing a sitting government that is already in power. Before, I think they had a slim chance because, yes, the candidate is the ruling party, but is not an incumbent. So there was a slim chance. But should that come, they are going against the full machinery of state. There's no halfways. Before there was this the president supporting even though the party candidate is in full support or not. So they are that loophole. But now no chance. So who they are going against has already consolidated power. I heard you people talking about Niger, the coup plotter. There's something that is called consolidation. Okay. So the has already consolidated. So then to make any inroad, maybe there have to be some form of alliance. The point now is, how will that alliance play out? Maybe that's part of the negotiation. Nobody knows. And it's not like I said, there are advantage and disadvantage. So disadvantage is that there are some supporters who may not agree with that alliance, with the personalities or the structure. Some of their
for some people, it's difficult to take a picture of having these people coming together to form some alliance, and you wonder if the call is going to
understand that politics. I think politicians play better than us, but even though I don't subscribe these politics, no principles that some of our politicians play, but still you need a form of strategic engagement, with various parties. That means there have to be give and take. Some have to, forgo their positions for others. So they know the arrangement. But there will be at all, is for two things. Should the outcome comes to rerun or ahead of 2027, whichever it is strategic.
All right, and 27, you think it's far away? It's almost here. You blink and then there's an election cycle already. So it's nice for whoever wants to form that alliance or merger or whatever to get work already. However, you've seen that the presidential election is still ongoing. We haven't closed finally the window of the 23 election, and we get to see what decision is and what political calculations was to happen after that, or even while we're waiting the outcome of it.
You know that even in this present government, there may be some elements or some people who will lose out, who will feel aggrieved. They want to. So some things have not really, power blocks have not really fully formed. So after the government is taking shape, almost taking shape after the ministerial, they took over office. So there are some who may want to join forces with other. There are those who may cross from the other side. It's ongoing. The way Nigerian politics is placed fluid.
Anything
It's fluid. Anything can happen.
Yeah. And it seems like our eyes are most presidential election. On the state level, there are also contentious cases that are before the tribunal itself that we'll pay attention to. I think when the final verdict starts to emerge, it will be interesting to see how it plays out. Says who leaves.
Already, yeah, there are some tension in Canada about even the tribunal they come out to even voice out that people are trying to bribe pressure and all those stuff. So let's see, it's an evolving system.
Indeed.
But I think we also need to get to that point in the country, probably when they think of amending the constitution or whatever, where all these issues are resolved before what you call consolidating power. Yes. I mean, we can't have a president who is already running the country since May 29, and we're talking about if he would be impeached, if he would leave, or if another person will take over. That doesn't work in an organized climate.
Cardinal Nike raised this issue.
We should have a timeline for this now.
Yes,
and
he raised
before
this point,
May 29, we have a verdict and we move on.
Attacked the Ruling Party spokesperson.
Yeah.
But he raised, which was it was a valid point.
It wasn't just him. A lot of people said, moving forward, we should amend our constitution.
Yeah. We need to
use it as a figure.
Yes.
But I know a lot have raised this issue.
Nigerian is
nothing
prominent.
cast in stone. That's why there is reforms.
Yeah.
Amendments.
All right, it's the Roundtable looking at big stories driving conversation. The voice of Senator Irebo, who joins us on the Roundtable. Benga is here also to look at some of the big stories. Instead of talking about Niger Republic, the African Union has suspended Niger Republic until restoration of civilian rule. Let's see how this will turn the tides of events now that the big boys have come in, if they're really that big, and they actually do have that much influence enough to impact on what is going on there, because African Union has been there. Mali happened, Sudan happened, Guinea happened, Burkina Faso happened, and been there with you would see people who tamper and go against the will of the people to stay longer in power. That's not to say the role of the continental bloc itself is not powerful enough to subject a country to put itself order at the end of the day. So we'll get what the suspension of Niger Republic means in the next few months. It's going to pressure the military out of it. We heard the former governor of Kaduna State remind us that Northern Nigeria and Niger Republic are one, we're brothers, and any attack on that country would expose us to more insecurity because we are neighbors and share borders with other countries we share borders. Niger also will make us vulnerable. And then we looked at the matter of the alliance. Talk is going on. PDP, NNPP, Labour Party are in talks. The detail of it is, well, they are close to their chest for now, not giving us all in details. Is it about this election, if there is a rerun, or is it something for the near future, this election, strategize on how to ensure that they get power? I've gotten a spokesman of the APC who says APC is going to be in power for 30 years. As someone says, go and Obula, Obula was the one who said they were going to be for years.
Women take the position of God.
I don't understand.
And they knocked them after 16. It's intoxicating. You start to feel like we've got all it takes. And forget that there'll be that element of surprise at some point.
Them staying in power is deceptive, is manipulation, depends on good governance. And that's why people want electoral reform, so that people can actually speak, so that elected officials will respect the electorate. So we want to get to that stage where the elected official will begin to respect the electorate. Now they are not yet fully respecting the electorate. So there are some things that give them confidence other than election. So if you go to where democracy advanced, if it's how elected officials are afraid of their constitution, how they are terrified, because if their constituents against them, they've lost. That means they are not coming back because they vote for them.
Yeah.
But here it's a different ball game. Getting there, we're still growing.
Indeed.
Hope will grow faster.
Hopefully.
Let's take more calls. 0700 951 000 or 080597469 or 0809 9930137. Hello. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, good afternoon to everyone.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, I'm Chuk on the line.
All right, Chooks, go ahead.
Yes, talking about the Nigeria issue. I'm going to take our mind back to the early 2000s when there was something like that there, and then British commando went in, removed the RUF, I put back the elected president, President Kaba. My point is there's a role for violence. There's a role for force. Yes, right. But it should be surprise. So indicate they already know we are successful, so they are anticipate the arrival of it. So that element of surprise is no longer, and so we shouldn't go in any longer. That's one. And the other issue of alliance between these three politicians, I'm just suffering, and I'm going to the late Kimberly said good this afternoon. So to those three Nigerians, good morning this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hello.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
This is Jerry.
All right, Jerry.
Yes. ECOWAS and Nigeria. ECOWAS or Nigeria and ECOWAS and not the house. Deploy operation fighter dance and group high. What I'm saying is this. Now they are condemning not military to go to hell. Yes, I support it. But they have their own freedom to how they will govern their country. But now, when you find the operator Python dance and that mind, they did not see any go out in Enugu or Anambra on Asaba. They just they can keep people do everything sort of that. And no Nigerian, all Nigerians just deploy this in Niger. Nobody is about it. What I believe in, what goes around, comes around, and God is God of justice. You understand? Anybody that's fighting, I'm telling you that so that it's here. God bless Nigeria. Thank you.
God bless. Thank you very much. Let's hear you next. Hello.
Good afternoon, Kimberly.
Good afternoon.
How's work?
Going well.
Well done. On a alleged Yoruba merger, NNPP and Labour Party was already wrong. Though we are not hoping to have a report. If it happens like that, I will plead Kwankwaso article to support people.
Okay, this is where it gets dicey when you get us tilting in one direction and saying this should lean. Ego play comes in and like, why?
And that's when the first the best time to pay tree is 20 years ago.
Yeah.
They would have done it before. But
I mean, maybe before you came in, where something like this almost happened 2019 election, when the likes of Show Mohalu tried to come together. But even before the major election,
the corporate colon of
he didn't even see the light of the day. So.
they scattered.
Exactly.
But
we'll get how this plays out. Hello.
Okay.
Good afternoon.
Tony from Guarimpa.
Welcome.
Advise ECOWAS to stay off from Niger. Negotiate with them. In Nigeria, several military posts here. In Nigeria, no matter what happened in America, what they like about America, no military coup ever took place in America. And I said Nigeria would have been. A good model me to be asking in Chonda when we couldn't, we allow military to take over this country and to consider it back west. Democracy is the best. In America, when the secrets of Americans, when they see what Nigeria president, we don't have. We're supposed to be the mentor of our nation. And all the terrible coup taking place in this of Africa, showing Africa in Nigeria. So we shout from Niger, they are brothers, and no, we shouldn't go to anybody. Let's tackle our internal problem.
All right. Thank you very much. Yes, Niger is to northern Nigeria because we're using them to. Okay, Giti from Gwagwalada. Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
This is Baba along the airport.
Go ahead, sir.
I think your guest has used something. Even if there will be a wrong. The Constitution, I think, is between the first, the part and the second. I need to be a date.
Well, we don't know how it's going to out. We don't know how.
But even if it's going to be between if the opposition are in a line, they can their supporters whichever
together,
party that we is contesting. So that's how it goes. It doesn't mean that okay, they are totally influences totally. In fact, when it goes down to run and it's two party, they're going to seek alliances with other parties that are out of race. That's how it's done, because those ones they have supporters.
And automatically followers
so they are not completely out of the picture. No party is completely out of the picture, because they have the ability to influence the outcome.
Yeah. Right, so Niger and Nigeria are the same, different, not one. Similar religion and culture does not make us one. Will it be say Nigeria and Benin Republic are one, hence share same border and tribe? Babs Kuta sent that warning. And Jacob from Kabusa has begged federal government to leave Niger junta alone. More than enough trouble in Nigeria. Benga and K's are doing a great job. Collins from Biazin Kubwa very much. Nigeria is a poor country, no matter the dimension you want to see it from his scheme. Good afternoon, Collins from Mina. And Daniel Joseph from Bassa Airport, later Rufai Pacific. Which part of northern Nigerians are borders to Niger Republic? Please says ECOWAS was there when the president was mismanaging the economy and the Commonwealth of the people. ECOWAS been boxed to the corner because the poor man with the military. So who are ECOWAS fighting for? Is it for few elite? The poor masses? Kingsley is asking. Edwin from Day says, our guest, I think Erova is correct to some extent. War is not the option right now. Niger is also our brother, not our neighbor alone. That must be the rationale behind former free railway link into the country. Also must have informed that power supply to Niger. That also must have been the reason behind our age-long porous with Niger Republic. But permit me to ask, Benin Republic and Chad also part of this relationship? Edwin from Days asking. Chasimba say, I don't usually know these talks about Niger Republic indigenes, our brothers. I get miffed sometimes. Northerners rub it in some of our faith. Nigerians are more brothers than those from the southern parts of the country. Nigerians should focus more on brotherly affinity with themselves first, before looking at what Niger Republic issues cannot be more permanent than those that beset us, says Charles. All right, let's take call. Hello?
My sister, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, you're welcome.
Yeah, my name is Moses Machu, and I greet our guest here.
You're welcome. Thank you.
About Niger, I could remember sometimes during Abacha's time when almost the whole world sanctioned Nigeria, and our refinery was still working then. Make sure that Nigeria got everything they want to get. So, Nigeria, even though the West Africa say they want to sanction you, remember you are and build your own country by yourself. If Nigeria is vision today from all these Britain and other countries, I'm telling you, my sister, finally, we have been working time. And our agriculture would have been moving, our production and human resources would have been made off. Okay, away from that, about OD going to form alliance with any party, that one is totally lie. These are words. It is not true. Right from yesterday, I had that. I saw their picture. If you want that picture, well, it's a photo shot.
Obedient Moses, calm down. Building it based on what Tanko Issa said, who's the spokesman of the Labour Party presidential campaign. He was on Channel V yesterday and he said there is no merge. However, they are actually in talk of some sort of alliance. What that trans you is left for multiple interpreting.
Okay, they are actually talk, but why bringing the pictures? I think I'm talking.
Well, the debate about it happened on social media we're talking about, but the clarification what we built on. Thank you very much, Obi Moses. We need to take a break for the news at the top. I will be back with more. Stay with 95.1 Nigeria Info.
This is Nigeria Info.